So the best way to motivate this group of salespeople is to use what we call the talents-based motivational model. And this boosts their self-esteem and their performance. And it's very simple to implement. And we've talked about talents in other shows here on Sales Management Mastery. But just the difference between these two things called talents and skills, I think Marcus Buckingham in Break All the Rules was the first person to really talk about it. And talents motivational model is a very effective way in which to get the best out of this particular subgroup of salespeople, but also all your salespeople in general. But the talents motivational model is the best way to motivate prestige-driven salespeople because you uncover an area of talent or a towering strength while, as much as you possibly can, minimizing their individual weaknesses. So just to clarify what talents are inherent, genetically encoded patterns of thought and behavior. And in essence, these are what we call nature. So nature versus nurture model, I'm sure you've probably heard of that. Just to really break it down to a very base understanding is that talents are things that they do sort of naturally. They didn't really have to work at them all that well. Skills, they didn't have to work at them at all. They just sort of came to them naturally. Skills, for example, are learned abilities that can be passed along from person to person through instruction. Something like product knowledge or industry experience is a skill. It's something that they've learned, it's been passed from one person to the next. Learning how to use an Excel spreadsheet is a skill. It's something that someone can learn from another person. However, to excel in a particular task, like let's say, for example, you have a salesperson who's extremely talented at building rapport. This is a talent that they can have, and you can use this, you can harness it and turn it into something that makes them more money and improves sales performance by bringing this out and highlighting it. And maybe they're not so good on the, well, no salesperson really is, on the administrative side of things, but you would minimize that or mitigate it as much as you possibly could as a sales manager so that you can highlight the things that they're good at, get them that self-esteem boost that they're looking for, and then this will in turn have a carryover effect to other areas of their job responsibilities. So a sales manager can more easily draw out more of the talents from your sales reps, but they just can't be installed there in the first place. And each of your sales reps has areas of talents which push your sales reps to be even better at the things they're good at, while minimizing the things that they're not so good at. So as a base understanding of how to really motivate this group is to look, and specifically, we've got a couple of questions here that you can ask your salespeople as well, but do this primarily by observation. What are they really good at? And when they go into a sales call and you're observing them, or maybe they're on the phone or on the sales floor, what do they excel at? And then find out what that one thing is. Maybe it's making small talk. Maybe it's asking introductory types of questions. Maybe it's making people feel at ease. Maybe it's their sense of humor. These are all sort of sales model related talents, but maybe it's something completely different than that. But look for this in your observations and then build upon it and then minimize the weaknesses, because with this type of group, you really want to start building up that self-esteem and making them feel good, feel important, and then in turn that will have a carryover effect into their sales performance. Couple of things you can do as well, as if you aren't very good at the observational model, is to ask them a set of questions. And we'll have this in the transcript of this show on salesmanagementmastery.com for those of you who don't get it here in the show itself. Some of the questions might include, what are you best at in sales? You can ask them that sort of casually. Or what do you feel that you're best at in sales? Maybe what are you best at? What do you think that you have a supreme talent for? What do you like to do the most? Is another great question. If you could have one thing, what one thing would that be? That will give you sort of an idea as to what their real motivations are, what they're constantly thinking about. And another good one is, if you had $10,000 to spend, how would you spend it? And this isn't necessarily going to give you a talent per se, but it will give you tendencies as to what they're most interested in. And chances are what they're most interested in, they're probably very talented at. So I once had a sales rep who was extremely good at cooking. And he never really harnessed this talent. And I said, well, why don't you talk about this more? Because he really was an incredible cook. So why don't you talk about this more in your sales calls, especially with, maybe the women that are at the front desk and so forth, or maybe while people are making lunch. People are interested in this, and this is a very common way in which to build rapport. And he started doing this, and he started getting in at places he never had gotten into before. And he ended up not being very good on the back end of the selling process. But the point is this, is that talent, that interest got him in and really did improve his overall sales performance. And I would highly encourage you to do the same as a sales manager by observation and also by using a number of these types of questions that we'll have posted on the blog at salesmanagementmastery.com. So just to review, the ways to motivate salespeople who are driven by a need to feel important is that they depend heavily on the feedback of others, and this is primarily you as their sales supervisor or their sales manager. And they oftentimes might feel, people might misperceive this lack of self-esteem as a feeling of superiority, so be careful of that. So, and as I said, they do suffer from poor self-esteem, so be very cognizant of that. And failure in one area might lead to failure in multiple areas, which we talked about as well, and they might be perfectionists. And be very careful with criticism with this group, and then also use the talents-based motivational model to boost their self-esteem and performance. And we talked about that a little bit as to how you can do it, what the difference is between talents, which is nature, and skills, which is nurture, and draw out more of those talents and highlight them and use them as a leverage point in order to motivate this particular motivational profile. Now, for hundreds of other sales management techniques and strategies such as this one, you can find them in the Sales Management Mastery Academy, along with tons of done-for-you resources to help your sales managers achieve sales management success. To claim your free sales manager training inside the Sales Management Mastery Academy, including our most popular training of all time, How to Motivate Your Sales Team to Peak Performance, visit salestraininggift.com. That's it for this week's episode of Sales Management Mastery. Until next time, wishing you ultimate sales management success.
You've been listening to the sales management, motivational, and leadership training expert, Ralph Burns. Ralph invites you to discover the sales manager training secrets that will unleash a flood of new sales from your sales team. Visit salestraininggift.com and you'll get instant access to your choice of life-changing sales manager training techniques, only taught in the internationally acclaimed Sales Management Mastery Academy online community. Go now to salestraininggift.com. Sales Management Mastery.